My brother just told me at our dad's funeral that he's not actually my brother, and dad wasn't my real father either. My whole life has been a lie, and my mom knew the entire time. When I confronted her, what she revealed about my real father destroyed our family forever. I, 28F, buried who I thought was my father 4 days ago. Now I'm sitting in a hotel room because I can't even look at my mother, and I'm trying to piece together whether my entire life has been a lie. My dad, I don't even know what to call him now. Robert passed away 2 weeks ago from a sudden heart attack. He was 62, and it was completely unexpected. Our family has been devastated. Or at least, I thought we were all devastated together. The funeral was 3 days ago. It was beautiful and heartbreaking. My brother, Kevin, 32M, gave the eulogy. My mom, Patricia, 60F, was crying throughout the entire service. I spoke about my favorite memories with Dad. We buried him next to his parents in the family plot. It felt like the worst day of my life. After the burial, we went back to my parents' house for the reception. Family and friends everywhere, people sharing stories about Dad, the usual post-funeral gathering. Around 8 p.m., most people had left. It was just close family, my mom, Kevin, Kevin's wife, Jenna, my husband, Marcus, and a few aunts and uncles who were helping clean up. Kevin pulled me aside into Dad's study. He looked awful, pale, stressed, like he hadn't slept in days. I thought he was just grieving hard. He asked if we could talk privately. We sat down and he said, "There's something I need to tell you, and I've been going back and forth about whether to say anything, but I can't keep this from you anymore." I immediately thought he was going to tell me he had cancer or something. I was not prepared for what came next. Kevin took a deep breath and said, "Dad told me something 2 years ago. He made me promise not to tell you while he was alive. But now that he's gone, you deserve to know the truth." My stomach dropped. Kevin continued, "You're not my biological sister, and Dad wasn't your biological father." I laughed. I actually laughed. I said, What are you talking about? Is this some weird grief thing?" He said, "I'm serious. Mom had an affair when I was 4 years old. She got pregnant. That pregnancy was you. Dad found out when you were about 6 months old. He took a paternity test because you didn't look like anyone in our family. When it came back negative, he confronted Mom and she admitted everything." I felt like the room was spinning. I said, "That's insane. Why would Dad tell you this and not me? Why wouldn't he tell me?" Kevin's eyes filled with tears. He said, "Because he loved you. He decided to raise you as his own anyway. He never wanted you to feel different or less than. But he told me because he said when he died, you'd need to know for medical history reasons. And because you deserve to know the truth about where you came from." I stood up. I said, "You're lying. This is insane. Mom would have told me. Dad would have told me." Kevin pulled out his phone and showed me photos of documents. A paternity test from 28 years ago. Robert's name, my name, as a baby. Results, 0% probability of paternity. I grabbed his phone and zoomed in on the document. It looked real. The dates matched. My birth date. Everything matched. I said, "Who's my biological father?" Kevin said, "I don't know. Dad wouldn't tell me. He said that was Mom's story to tell, not his. He just wanted me to make sure you found out the truth after he was gone." I walked out of the study in a daze. I found my mom in the kitchen cleaning up with my aunts. I pulled her into the hallway and said, "We need to talk. Now." She looked at my face and immediately knew something was wrong. She followed me upstairs to her bedroom. I closed the door and said, "Kevin just told me about the affair, about the paternity test. Is it true?" My mom went completely white. She sat down on the bed and started crying. Not the grief crying from earlier. This was different. This was guilt and panic. She said, "How did Kevin know about that? So, is true?" I was shaking. "You've been lying to me for my entire life?" She said, "Robert and I agreed it was best if you never knew. He loved you so much. He didn't want you to feel like you were different from Kevin. He was your father in every way that mattered." I said, "Who is my biological father?" She wouldn't look at me. She said, "It doesn't matter. He's not in the picture. He never was." I said, "It matters to me. Who is he?" The silence stretched out. Finally, she whispered, "Robert's brother. Your Uncle Jim." Reddit, I thought I couldn't be more shocked. I was wrong. Uncle Jim, my dad's brother, who I've known my entire life, who was at the funeral today, who gave one of the speeches about his beloved brother Robert, who hugged me and told me he was there for me if I needed anything. I literally threw up, right there in my mom's bedroom. I ran to her bathroom and threw up everything. When I came out, my mom was crying harder. She said, "It was a mistake. It happened once. I was drunk. I was angry at Robert about something I can't even remember now, and Jim was there, and it just happened. I regretted it immediately. I tried to pretend it never happened. I said, "Does Uncle Jim know?" She nodded. Robert told him when he found out. Jim wanted to tell you years ago, but Robert wouldn't allow it. Jim has carried this guilt for almost 30 years. He never married, never had other kids. I think partially because of this. Suddenly so many things made sense. Uncle Jim always gave me the most expensive birthday gifts. Uncle Jim always seemed sad around the holidays. Uncle Jim moved to another state when I was 10 and only came back for major events. Uncle Jim looked at me sometimes with this expression I could never quite read. He knew. He's known the entire time that I was his daughter. I left my mom's room and went back downstairs. Uncle Jim was still there, talking with Kevin in the living room. I walked straight up to him and said, "I know." His face crumbled. He looked at Kevin, who nodded. Jim said, "Can we talk outside?" We went out to the backyard. It was dark and cold. I said, "Are you my father?" He said, "Biologically, yes. But Robert was your father. He raised you. He loved you. He was there for everything. I'm the guy who made a terrible mistake and has regretted it every single day since." I asked him why he never said anything. He said Robert made him promise. Said if he ever told me, he'd cut him out of the family completely. Jim said he respected Robert too much to go against his wishes, and he believed Robert was right, that I was better off not knowing. I asked if he wanted a relationship with me. He said, "More than anything. But not if it hurts you. Not if it ruins your memory of Robert. He was a good man. Better than me. He raised you when I couldn't. When I was too cowardly to step up." I went back inside and found Marcus. I told him we needed to leave. Now. He could tell something was catastrophically wrong. We said quick goodbyes and left. In the car, I told Marcus everything. He was as shocked as I was. He said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I have no idea." We went to a hotel instead of going home. I couldn't be in our house. I couldn't think straight. I've been here for 3 days. My mom has called 47 times. Kevin has called and texted constantly. Uncle Jim, my biological father, sent one text that said, "I'm sorry for everything. I understand if you never want to see me again." I finally answered Kevin's call today. He said the entire family is in chaos. My mom is devastated. Uncle Jim left town again. Marcus's family, we told them I needed space for grief, is worried. Kevin's wife is apparently furious that Kevin dropped this bomb on me right after the funeral. Kevin apologized. He said he didn't know how else to tell me, and he thought I deserved to know right away rather than finding out some other way later. He said he's been carrying this secret for 2 years, and it's been eating him alive. I asked him if he sees me differently now. He said, "You're my sister. That hasn't changed. We grew up together. I don't care about DNA, but I care. I care that my entire identity is a lie. I care that every family photo, every holiday, every memory is now tainted with this secret. I care that my dad, the man I just buried, wasn't actually my dad. I care that my uncle is actually my father. I care that my mom has been lying to my face for 28 years. I don't know who I am anymore. I look in the mirror and think, I'm not who I thought I was. My last name isn't really my last name. My family tree is wrong. Half my DNA is from a man I barely know because he's been avoiding me my whole life out of guilt. And medical history, the reason Dad wanted me to know. I don't know anything about Jim's side of the family. Their health issues, their history. I'm going into my 30s with half my medical information being completely wrong. Marcus thinks I should take a DNA test to confirm everything, even though the documents seem legitimate. He thinks I should see a therapist ASAP. He thinks I should take time before making any decisions about my relationship with my mom or Jim. But I'm so angry. At my mom for the affair. At my dad, Robert, for keeping this from me. At Jim for being a coward. At Kevin for telling me at the funeral. At everyone for letting me live a lie for 28 years. I have so many questions. Did my dad's family know? Do my aunts and uncles know they're not actually my aunts and uncles? Did Robert treat me differently than Kevin growing up and I just didn't notice? Did he resent me? Did he really love me? Or did he just do his duty? And what about Jim? Do I try to have a relationship with him? Do I call him Dad now? Do I just keep calling Robert Dad, even though we weren't related? What about my mom? Do I forgive her? Do I cut her off? She lied to me every single day of my life. I feel like my grief is all wrong now. I'm grieving Robert, but was he even really my father? Should I be grieving differently? Should I be angrier that he kept this from me? People keep asking when I'm coming home. I don't know. I don't know how to go back to normal when nothing is normal anymore. What would you do, Reddit? How do you process finding out your entire life is built on a lie? Update, 5 days later. I've been reading every comment. Thank you all. The support and the tough love have both been needed. I've been a mess, but I'm starting to think more clearly. First, I took a DNA test. Multiple ones, actually. I used Ancestry and 23andMe. Marcus insisted we confirm everything before I make any major decisions. The results came back yesterday. Jim is definitely my biological father. The test also connected me with several of Jim's relatives that I didn't know existed. So it's real. All of it. Second, I've been in therapy. Emergency sessions. My therapist has been incredible helping me process the grief, the betrayal, and the identity crisis all at once. She said what I'm experiencing is called genetic identity crisis, and it's common in people who discover late in life that their parentage isn't what they thought. Third, I finally went home. Marcus has been amazing through all of this. I couldn't hide in a hotel forever, but being home feels weird. Looking at family photos feels weird. Everything feels weird. Fourth, I agreed to meet with my mom. We met at a neutral location, a park near our house. She brought letters. Letters that Robert wrote to me before he died. Reddit, I wasn't prepared for this. There were 3 letters. One was written 10 years ago. One was written 5 years ago. One was written a month before he died, like he knew his time was coming. The first letter explained everything. The affair. The paternity test. His decision to raise me anyway. He wrote, "You were 6 months old when I found out the truth. I held you in my arms and looked at your face, and I realized it didn't matter whose DNA you had. You were my daughter. I had been your father for 6 months already. I had changed your diapers, walked you at night when you cried, watched you smile for the first time. Biology didn't change any of that." He wrote about the pain of Patricia's betrayal, his anger at Jim, but ultimately his decision that I deserved 2 parents who loved me. He wrote that he never once regretted his choice to stay and raise me. The second letter was about watching me grow up. Every milestone. My first day of school. My graduation. My wedding to Marcus. He wrote, "You are everything I hoped you would be. Smart, kind, strong. I am so proud to be your father. I know someday you'll learn the truth about your biology, and I hope you can forgive me for not telling you sooner. I wanted you to have a normal childhood without this hanging over you." The third letter was instructions. He wanted me to know the truth after he died. He wanted Kevin to tell me. He wanted me to have the choice of whether to pursue a relationship with Jim. He wrote, "Jim is a good man who made a terrible mistake. He's lived with guilt and regret for almost 30 years. If you want to know him, he wants to know you. But if you don't, that's okay too. I will always be your dad, whether I'm here or not." I sobbed reading these letters. Marcus held me while I cried. My mom cried too. She said Robert spent his last 2 years making sure everything was in place for me to find out the truth gently. He updated the letters every few years. He made Kevin promise to wait until after the funeral so I could grieve him as my dad before dealing with the complications. My mom apologized. Really apologized. She said, "What I did was unforgivable. I destroyed my marriage for a moment of weakness. I put Robert in an impossible position. I stole your right to know your biological father from the beginning. I've carried this guilt every day, and I'm so sorry." She said she'd understand if I never forgave her, but she hoped someday we could rebuild something. She said Robert forgave her, eventually, and they rebuilt their marriage into something stronger. She said the last 27 years with him were happy, despite how they started. I told her I needed time. She said she understood. Fifth, I reached out to Jim. We met for coffee yesterday. It was the most awkward hour of my life. Jim told me his side. He said he was going through a divorce when the affair happened. He was drunk and depressed, and Patricia was there. He said it's not an excuse, just context. He said when he found out Patricia was pregnant, he wanted to step up, but Robert had already decided to raise me and told him to stay away. Jim said watching me grow up from a distance was torture. He said he wanted to be my dad but respected Robert's decision. He said he moved away when I was 10 because seeing me and not being able to tell me the truth was killing him. He said he never married or had other kids because I already had a kid. I just couldn't be her father. I asked him what he wants now. He said, "Whatever you're comfortable with. I don't expect you to call me dad. I don't expect anything. But if you want to get to know me, I'd like that. I'd like to tell you about my family, your medical history, all the things you deserve to know." We talked for an hour. He told me about his parents, my biological grandparents, both deceased, his siblings. I have 3 more biological aunts and uncles I've never met, and his family medical history, heart disease runs in the family, explains Robert's heart attack was partially genetic irony. He showed me photos, baby pictures of him. He looked exactly like I did as a baby. It was unsettling and confirming all at once. We ended the coffee by agreeing to take things slow. Maybe a lunch next month. Maybe I meet some of his family eventually. Maybe this becomes something, or maybe it doesn't. No pressure. Sixth, Kevin and I talked. Really talked. He apologized for the timing. He said Dad's instructions were to tell me soon after the funeral in private, and he panicked and just blurted it out. He said he handled it badly. I asked him if he resented me growing up, knowing I wasn't really his sister. He said never. He said, "You were annoying like all little sisters are annoying, but you were my annoying little sister. The DNA doesn't change that we grew up together." That meant a lot. 7th, I talked to Jenna, Kevin's wife. She said something that really hit me. She said, "Robert chose you. Every single day for 28 years, he chose you. Biology is an accident, but love is a choice. He chose to love you. That makes him your dad more than DNA ever could." I've been thinking about that a lot. The truth I'm coming to is that Robert was my dad. He raised me. He loved me. He was there for every moment that mattered. The DNA doesn't change that. Jim is my biological father. I can get to know him if I want. I can learn about that side of my heritage. But he's not replacing Robert. Nobody could. My mom made a terrible mistake 29 years ago. She and Robert worked through it. They built a life together anyway. I don't have to forgive her right now, but maybe eventually. Kevin is my brother. Always has been. Always will be. My identity hasn't actually changed. I'm still me. I just have more information now about where I came from. But where I came from doesn't define me. How I was raised does. And I was raised by Robert and Patricia, for better or worse. I'm going to keep going to therapy. I'm going to slowly rebuild my relationship with my mom. I'm going to get to know Jim carefully. I'm going to make sure Kevin knows he's still my brother and nothing changes that. And I'm going to honor Robert's memory by living the life he raised me to live, with integrity, strength, and the knowledge that I was loved. So loved. It's not the family I thought I had, but it's the family I have. And maybe that's okay.